This top 5 quarterbacks to bet against edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is giving away $15 million in Best Ball Mania 5. Sign up with SGPN to claim your first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Rhythm has the best AI picks and projections, and their college football product is about to drop. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Cox. He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Welcome, everyone, to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer? Dog.
Oh, just another. We're not in the same hotel room before anyone starts asking these types of questions.
If you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/sportsgamblingpodcast, we almost have it lined up perfectly where Ryan has the same piece of art on his hotel room, and it's like a Alice in Wonderland type situation. I wonder if I just slightly now I think the pieces of art are going to match. Oh man, that is if you're on some psychedelics, tuning into the top 5 quarterbacks to bet against. This is a real journey down the rabbit hole for you. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. It's just fun to talk football, and shout out to everyone for asking. We will be starting our 32 NFL team previews. First NFL preview dropping live Sunday. Coming up, only days away, 8:30 Pacific, live, youtube.com/sportsgamblingpodcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. Kramer, also, we woke up at 3:20. Well, I woke up at 3:20 a.m. I don't know. What time did you wake up? Because we did the VSiN morning show. What time was your alarm set for?
So funny story. As you know, I often wake up without an alarm, but the alarm was set for 2:50, 3:05, and 3:15. It's a 3-pronged approach when you have this kind of early morning wake
Really?
up. I mean, I don't know about you, but I didn't get to sleep before 11, but sadly I woke up at like 2 right before the alarm was going to go off. So yeah, great. I feel great though. Got a good nap in afterwards. Shout out to producer Luke on the VSiN show for teaching us about the sleeping from 10 to 2 and then sleeping from 10 to 2 all over again.
Yeah, he sleeps in shifts, which is a nice way to break it up when you're doing some live East Coast shows. And shout out to everyone who checked out the VSiN show, getting a lot of great feedback. Appreciate that. Yeah, I set my alarm for 3:20, woke up at exactly 3:19, looked at the phone and just said, fuck. There's nothing worse than waking up right before your alarm where you have that window where you can't enjoy the time to go back to sleep. It's really just but again, this is not a real job. We're just bullshitting about football, bullshitting about the National Football League. Doesn't get any better than that. And I thought this would be a fun episode, fun little concept here, breaking down some quarterbacks we're looking to fade, quarterbacks we're looking to back as we enter in to official preview season.
Kramer, and real quick, I wanted to get some people excited about the previews. So I have a little preview of the previews. And again, shamefully selling the sheets, but I'm just going to throw this on the screen. You can't see what it is, but look at all these colors. Look at these numbers. That's all you get. Team previews Sunday night. Tune in. As Sean mandated, we will be going worst to first.
Yes. I mean, there's no other way to do it. What are you going to really talk about the Kansas City Chiefs, Super Bowl champs first? No, that doesn't make any sense.
I agree.
Come on, Ryan. What are you doing?
I did adjust the order for the juice, and so I think we might make some people mad when we get to the Cowboys section and they find their team going earlier than they think they should.
That's a great insight into Ryan's brain. It's like, well, I mean, are we going by true win total number or what the win total should be? Everyone's been enjoying the college football previews. And I did get down on the Syracuse 100-1 here at Circa. I know I feel like DK had it at like 50-1, but Circa, shout out to the Circa 100-1 for Cuse to win the ACC college football. Kramer obviously all in on Virginia Tech. Spoiler alert, if you have not gone back and checked out those conference previews, they're pretty fun. Kramer, give me one of your 5 quarterbacks you're looking to fade this year.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't necessarily. It's less about ranking and more just about wrangling, I guess would be the best way to put it. Putting them all together. Yeah, I mean, honestly, this was a little bit of a hard exercise. The fade side of it.
To whittle it down to 5, or just to find 5 that you're going to. Well, because again, some of this is price factored in. Like there are some bad quarterbacks that might be catching some big numbers, might have a decent defense around them. I'll actually throw out one name that I was considering adding to my list, but didn't quite make it. And maybe I'm going to regret it. He might be on your list, but I'll throw out this name, Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson, almost always a quarterback I'm looking to fade. But if you look at his win-loss record last year, it was decent. I'm really, I'm continuing to dive in on the Cleveland Browns. Got some good nuggets for the team preview, but there's certainly an interesting case because I do think Stefanski's a pretty good head coach. They do have some good talent on that defense. I'm really worried about their passing game, but I could see Deshaun Watson being set up in a decent position. And, there's that old high school football expression I always use of you'd fuck up a wet dream. Maybe Deshaun Watson actually wouldn't fuck up a wet dream, and he would get to finish it. He was close to being added on my list, but I found better candidates. Did Deshaun Watson make your list, Kramer?
Yeah, and I think some of it is I did do some factoring of, are you better as a favorite? Are you better as a dog? Obviously, it's easy to cover. It's a little. I don't want to say it's easy to cover the spread as a dog, but dog numbers can sometimes be deceiving. That being said, if you're just not that good as a dog either, and if you look at Deshaun Watson, his stats are very, very misleading because a lot of that good ATS stuff was back when he was on a bad team.
Yeah.
And I think the problem with Deshaun, if I could project a little bit, the problem with him this year is everyone knows the Browns are loaded. I mean, honestly, like you want to talk about it, like we should be talking about Cleveland as a Super Bowl contender before we are talking about Atlanta. And I think, harder division and all that, even more reason to fade him. I also sprinkled TD markets. Do I like you in the alt markets? Do I do anything with your props ever? No. Deshaun Watson is horrible, and I only can hope that we get a full season of him starting. You look at his overall ATS records, very middling, but when you zoom into when he is a favorite, he is down around the 42% mark. And that to me is the situation he's going to be in this year a lot. So absolutely Deshaun Watson made my list. Surprised he didn't make your list as well. I feel like that if we were making a combined list, he would be the first guy we would agree on. Deshaun Watson as a human and a football player, love to bet against.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I said. He's close. I'm worried that because of Stefanski's play calling, because they brought in Mike Vrabel as I think his official title is like a consultant. Like this team might win some games as small favorites. I mean, remember, and Deshaun Watson, of all the quarterbacks, really felt like he quietly had a horseshoe up his ass. His sidebar, he might enjoy that. Because I mean, you remember some of those passes he completed that were like getting deflected all over the place. I'm just worried that if I'm putting Deshaun Watson in the fade bucket, I might miss out on a decent Browns team. But I don't know. He was hard to separate from the team because everyone but Deshaun Watson, you could make a pretty good case. I have some concerns there for the receiver position there on their offense, but I mean that defense and their coaching, I think, is pretty good.
Team's loaded, and really, if you're bringing in Mike Vrabel to a Browns locker room, I don't know what's he telling Deshaun? Hey, man. Instead of doing that with it, why don't you cut it off? Then you won't need those special massages.
My first fade guy, a guy we've bet against many a time, and maybe I'm going to be running it back a decent amount. We'll see what the numbers are, but give me Trevor Lawrence, 20 and 30 straight up, 21 and 39 ATS. I know people are saying it feels like maybe the market's catching up a little bit, but I don't know, man. Maybe some of this is a fantasy take or just hearing everyone continue to make excuses for Trevor Lawrence. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, they were talking about Trevor Lawrence the way they're talking about Caleb Williams. Stay tuned, but Trevor Lawrence, they are hyping. There was just an incredible amount of hype, and I think he's still getting credit for being that kid at Clemson, for being the number one pick overall, and we just haven't seen it. We just haven't seen it on any sort of consistent level. Yeah, he has a couple high-level throws now and again, but do you trust Trevor Lawrence to come in and cover a game? Do you trust him, like when the back's against the wall? Do you trust him to make that third down throw? I don't at all. And maybe the expectations are down a little bit because they don't have Calvin Ridley this year, but I still think and again, maybe this is some of the fantasy stuff creeping in, but I feel like I hear a lot of people talking themselves into the Jacksonville Jaguars, and Trevor Lawrence definitely still in my fade bucket.
Yeah, hard to get too excited about anyone that's going to have a 2.5% interception rate and not have the other production that some of the other kind of quote unquote gunslingers have. See Josh Allen. 5% touchdown percentage, 3.1% interception percentage. We're okay with that. The problem is Trevor Lawrence doesn't have the ceiling. I misspoke. He also was pretty clear, like obviously going to be on both of our lists here. And I would go a step further. He's one of my favorite picks in the interception, like lead the league in interceptions again, or this year, because he was he had 14. Sam Howell had 21, but that was like oh my goodness, we're probably not going to see that again. Josh Allen had 18. We think they're going to run the ball more this year. So he really just has to get that one more to match Jalen Hurts' total last year. So I think he's very much in the mix. And if you want to talk about the one way you can bet on Trevor Lawrence, I think it's to bet on him to get a lot of interceptions, because in the volume game, there's no competition for Trevor Lawrence. So I'm not unlike Deshaun Watson, who I could see not playing the entire year. Otherwise, he would be a fun interception one too. But Trevor Lawrence, he's locked in. Someone posted a great clip of Trevor Lawrence throwing interceptions. Like, how could Calvin Ridley drop this ball? And it was against the Giants, and it was Calvin Ridley was like 20 yards away from the ball. The pass was so bad it ended the game. Yeah, like it's moments like that where, sorry, you're not an elite quarterback. That's maybe Wink Martindale was tricking you, but Trevor Lawrence fade, and absolutely, I'll pull up the price while you're talking here on him to lead the league in interceptions.
Kramer, pop quiz: who is the Jaguars' backup quarterback?
Oh, I should
completely
know.
forgot about this. Completely forgot
I
about this signing until I was prepping for this episode.
Go ahead.
His name is McCorkle. Jones. Mac Jones is the number 2 in Jacksonville. So I don't think much of a benching risk for Jacksonville. So I think he's going to be out there a bunch and not covering a bunch of spreads. Hey, have you signed up over on UnderdogFantasy.com? If not, what are you waiting for? You got to get in over on Underdog Fantasy. You got a deposit match up to $250 in bonus cash. You get the Pick'em specials. Pick 8, you can get up to 325x. Shout out to the Golf Gambling Podcast guys. Gave us a nice winner for the Open in the Underdog Pick'em. I gave out a nice winner in the PLL. That was pretty sweet. Again, Underdog Fantasy, so fun. And also college football best ball drafts. That's right. If you know ball, in particular college ball, you got to get in, give it a whirl. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN. Get in, get the deposit bonus, and get the cash. Speaking of getting the cash, Ryan, we're at Circa. We're going to be signing up for Circa Survivor and Circa Million. $16 million in guaranteed prizes. Just imagine that feeling if you won your office Survivor, if you survived the gauntlet of the NFL season, and you also weren't signed up for Circa Survivor, leaving potentially $10 million on the table. You're going to feel pretty silly. Again, no rake in the contest. Tell me another contest with these guaranteed payouts. So, no, if I looked at the overlay, Ryan, currently sitting at an $8 million overlay. If no one else signs up, That is a definite plus EV opportunity. You got to sign up between now and September 7th, and you can use a proxy so you can play from anywhere. Sign up in Vegas or Reno, play from anywhere. Use our proxy, footballcontestproxy.com. Shout out to Vegas Maddie. Use that promo code SGP. Get your $50 off, and great excuse to come out, get all your futures bets in at the Circa. Hang out with Kramer and I. We're going to be out here again for Bet Bash and contest weekend. We got an open bar event August 22nd through 24th, and you get to celebrate Kramer's birthday. Get all the details over at circasports.com. Kramer, what is Trevor Lawrence to lead the league in interceptions?
I could have sworn this market was up because I thought I was looking at it a couple days ago. I'm not seeing it, so maybe the chat.
We'll come back to it.
Yeah, we'll come back to it because I'm 100%. It's going to be in the Jags episode. I'm 100% picking up that action.
So you got Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson was on my just miss. I'll toss this one out, and feel free to disagree, Ryan. But I know you had him to win MVP last year, but I am out on Sam Darnold. 21-35 straight up in his NFL career. We're now on team 4. I think people are kind of getting the horse ahead of the cart, or whatever the expression is, with Sam Darnold and with JJ McCarthy. Like, oh, hey, they'll just figure it out. It's the quarterback position. Quarterback position matters. Like, yeah, them getting some decent play out of Josh Dobbs and winning a couple games, like they were kind of pulling some of those games out of their ass. I'm pretty skeptical. It does seem like Sam Darnold, at least as of right now, is in the driver's seat. And look at his post New York Jets. Even if you just say, oh, okay, hey, it's the Jets, everyone on the Jets ends up sucking. In 3 years, Sam Darnold, 18 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. And as you keep pointing out, Ryan, looks like he could be a road favorite to start NFL Week 1. I know the Giants aren't very good, and won't be this season, unfortunately, Ryan. But Sam Darnold, to the fact that he's even getting some level of respect, and people are kind of, to me, this almost feels like the Falcons last year, where they're like, oh yeah, I mean, Desmond Ridder, he has to be an upgrade from Marcus Mariota. Oh, does he have to be? Like, people are just going, well, you know, he's going to be better than Josh Dobbs. Josh Dobbs had some freakishly high level. I mean, he was like the Jeremy Lin of the NFL, the Pasternaut. I don't know if we're going to be calling Sam Darnold the Pasternaut this season. So definitely in my fade bucket right now.
Shame on me, because I'm definitely looking to fade him. I didn't put him on the list. Maybe in my head, I was like, there's not a large enough sample size here. But
and I guess he's not necessarily locked in for the entire season as a starter. But yeah, I mean, he jumped out right off the page.
No, it's a good pick. I'm disappointed in myself because I think, you know, part of how I made this list is like, all right, which teams do I not plan on betting on early in the season? Because I get, once again, public perception's off. Yeah, the Sam Darnold, like, they're not even talking about it. And the longer that JJ McCarthy doesn't take the job from him, it's not a good sign. This isn't like, oh yeah, they're gonna give him time. No, Minnesota might be like there might be a year 2 of the tank, and how they convinced Justin Jefferson they had the quarterback of the future on the roster. He must have just liked that they shared a name, JJ and JJ.
I think they convinced him with a massive amount of money, Ryan. That makes you care a little bit less about who's throwing you the football when you're getting paid. Who's next on your list?
Oh, well, I have to imagine this guy's on your list. Okay. But I was quite shocked. But Sean, let me ask you a question. Of active quarterbacks with 50 starts, who do you think has the worst ATS record as a favorite? A role he's probably going to be in this season, you know, maybe 40 to 50% of the time.
Geno Smith?
Derek Carr.
Oh, you know what? He was close. He was close.
I kind of started this list by just making here are the guys that I love, like just mentally, who do I bet against a lot? And then when I started digging into the numbers, and I'm sitting here thinking, all right, I've heard the case why things could get better this year, but I've also used my mind to realize that they're not going to get better. The whole story with Jameis Winston last year spoke volumes about the team and the leadership of Derek Carr more than it did anything else. And so, Yeah. I am 100% looking to fade Derek Carr early. And I think in general, this Saints team, again, another team, seems a little bit overvalued. Again, like there's a lot of the kind of broad stroke assumptions being made with them as to why everything is going to be okay. And so, yeah, I think Derek Carr is an easy one. He's not worth. He's one of the lowest numbers in terms of value to the number. He's only worth somewhere around 3 to 3.5 points. And Sean, I'll ask you a question: who is the backup quarterback on the Saints this year?
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing it's going to be Rattler, but that is certainly not a given. Who do they have listed?
Or it's the Fresno kid, Jake Haener or whatever. Again, the point being, when we're talking about maybe some interception props, if the offense changes and maybe the running game continues to pick them up. But I feel like Derek Carr is a sneaky play, and this whole episode was just carving up interception prop guys. But I do feel like there's a Derek Carr interception situation, unless he quits on the team again. If he quits on the team and goes home like he did in Oakland or Las Vegas.
Well, Ryan, I mean, there were clearly issues with him and the teammates. On the sideline, some blow-ups, and I think they pulled the wool over people's eyes with that 9-8 season. They were a bad team, and you look at it, they closed out the season 4-1, but that they beat the Panthers, they beat the Giants, they lost to a good Rams team, and they won at Tampa Bay. I'll give them that. That was a division game, and then they whooped up on the Falcons in a meaningless game. So I think they kind of have gotten this moniker of like, oh yeah, give it to the Saints, they'll win the NFC South. It's like, really? Why? I mean, they've lost some of their offensive play calling. I really am just not super high on them, and it's a real classic loser head coach, loser quarterback combo. So don't let Derek Carr's 9-8 fool you. I don't think they're going to be very good.
Do you know why people are excited? Because Kubiak's kid's there. And they're like, well, yeah, we're going to have zone read. We're going to have the zone, Alvin Kamara is going to be awesome. Look at that. They're going to have all these. I just don't, their number 2 receiver is Rashid Shaheed. We like Rashid Shaheed, but that feels a little bit like the Giants receiver situation from a couple of years ago. So Derek, and I didn't throw it in there, but his ATS, he is sub 30. He's in the mid 30s in ATS record as a favorite. That's almost impossible, right? We're talking about flipping a coin. How can you lose? How can you only win 37% of your ATS? It's not good. Fade Derek Carr. You're up.
Geno Smith. I used him as my guess for what turned out to be Derek Carr, but Geno Smith, again, he is sub 500 straight up, 30-36. He's sitting right there, 18-17 in Seattle. I think, again, people remember that great story, that first year as a starter in Seattle, going 9-8. And I was on the Seahawks that year. Everyone was saying like, Pete Carroll's bottoming out. They're going to tank this team. And meanwhile, they go 9-8. They get into the playoffs. They get their ass kicked. But I think people kind of forget that Geno Smith is not there anymore. Like I'm just super skeptical of this Geno Smith. Like, yeah, he doesn't turn it over, but I think sometimes if you're not throwing interceptions, it's because you're being too passive. He played 15 games last year and only threw 20 touchdowns. I think, and you lose Pete Carroll, a guy who kind of redeemed him, got his confidence back up. A lot of things could go wrong with this Seattle offense. I just don't see it as plug and play as everyone thinks. And I wouldn't be surprised if Geno hits that wall. And I don't think he's going to be very good ATS. And judging by people's opinions and kind of how the market views them, I think they're coming in, seeing them as a average to above average team. And I think they're going to be decently below average, especially with Geno Smith. I think Geno kind of hits the wall here. And I'll go out. Full prediction. This is Geno's last year as a starter.
So he's done right now. He ran out of ink. The calligraphy pen is dry.
Everyone wrote me off. Problem is I didn't write back. Great line, great year. But even that year, people forgot he was bad the second half of that year. And then, last year, 8-7, but man, like not super impressive by any means. And if Seattle was really committed to him, they would have paid him. They would have signed him. Like they didn't. he doesn't have any sort of deal that is like locked into starter. And if this goes bad, I could see the current administration, the new head coach, just being like, "Hey, man, can we just fold and I'll draft the guy I want to be my quarterback." So I could see this getting off the rails here in Seattle.
All right, this next one is going to be controversial. I didn't have Geno, and it was close because I do feel like he's going to be in a situation where he's going to be catching a lot of points this year, and he's going to be asked to hand the ball off a lot, and
I guess that too. Yeah, I guess some of this is like, yeah, you have the look ahead numbers, the game of the year numbers, but I just could see like the market talking themselves into Seattle at least early, and I'll definitely be looking to fade him.
Well, I mean, on a micro sense, my guy, like if we just condense Geno Smith's career into a season and a little bit more, it would resemble my guy, because I do think Geno is a guy that he was really bad for a long time, or not really bad. He was bad for a long time, even though he's a first round pick, which is what kept him around. He was a good backup, and then he got his opportunity, and it just happened to be the right spot. So
hold on, the maid's here.
Oh, nice. Oh, I like how the maids are here. This is Sean. He said 4:30 p.m. instead of a.m. for a special delivery. No, but I think the idea that I was just making some jokes about how it was the maid.
Well, there was a great. I don't know how this came across my timeline, but it was like a guy asking on Reddit. This maid offered to suck my dick for $60. Is she a prostitute? And the guys are like, well, if she does have sex for money, that's what a prostitute is. I mean, who knows? It's the internet. He could have easily made that up, but then I don't know. It was just funny seeing everyone's response to that.
Yeah, but so the Geno, like, he wasn't very good. Then he had a moment, and it kind of changed everyone's opinion on him based on a smaller sample size. Well, I'm going to say the same thing about Jordan Love.
Ooh,
I mean, Jordan Love.
I knew you were going to have Jordan Love.
Very interesting situation. He took a bad deal for himself last year because clearly he wasn't willing to bet on himself. He started out of the gate, about as horrible as you can be. I mean, people were talking about how, his inaccuracy was something they hadn't seen before. And then we saw it on the field. It was inconsistent play for a bit. He did lose to Tommy DeVito. Let's not forget that. And a lot of his damage ATS has been when they're a dog. And so again, that's kind of the red herring. When you look at him as a favorite, not very good. I get it, small sample size. He's only played, I think it's 18 games. But this is a team that's coming into the season with a tremendous amount of hype. And I do think they're going to be a decent team, but I don't think the number early in the season is going to be correct. And we've already discussed the North in terms of the odds in the NFC North are just all over the place. It's a tricky division for me. But I do think this Green Bay team comes into the season overrated. I do think it's going to give us more opportunities to fade Jordan Love as a dog. And unless Josh Jacobs turns into a world beater, and Jordan Love's only job is to kind of work that play action game. But they have all these receivers. They're building like they're going to let him loose. And now he's holding out. He's missing practice time. This is not the kind of guy that needs to be missing practice time. He started really bad last year. I would think he'd want all the practice time. And guess what, buddy? Normally I'm for the player holding out, but you signed that crappy deal last year. So I'm out on Jordan Love. Packers fans, you know where I'm at. Come talk to me.
No, I mean, he is talk to any Packers fan. They were not completely in on him. There were some up and down moments throughout the season. Now, hats off to Jordan Love. He did close it out very strong. He also did throw a inexcusable pick to end their season. I think that kind of gets lost in the shuffle along with Trevor Lawrence's 4 interception playoff win. That kind of gets like, yeah, he's won a playoff game. I'm kind of with you. I'm not as down on Jordan Love yet as you, but I do believe he's getting priced at the peak of his value right now, right? Like he's getting priced as Jordan Love, NFC Championship quarterback when again, they ended up losing the game where they could have got to the NFC Championship. we were certainly high on him against the Cowboys. That was awesome. So maybe I have a soft spot in my heart for what he did to the Cowboys. But I'm with you, Ryan. It does feel like the market have like a memory hole when it comes to how bad he was at times last year. And it wasn't just the first couple games. There were some games in the middle of the season where he looked pretty rough. He actually had a couple good games early, then like middle-ish. He fell apart, and then he did close late. So hats off to him. It's going to be an interesting handicap, and I'm looking forward to the team preview because I don't even – I know you're going to be looking to fade the Packers, but I'm not quite as strong, but it does feel like they're kind of at the top of the market.
Well, and real quick, let me read a quote for you that will sum up the hype train. And this is from our friends over at Pro Football Focus. Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence on the cusp of elite.
I mean, even Jordan Love, to me, I would much rather have Jordan Love because we've Trevor Lawrence has proven mediocre over a 50-game sample. That's not nothing. 50 games is a lot in the NFL. Jordan Love's highs have been higher than Trevor Lawrence. So as crazy as it sounds, I'd actually rather have Jordan Love. If we were talking about this season and beyond, I would take Jordan Love above Trevor Lawrence. Ryan, maybe you want to watch your Packers in person. All you got to do is go to gametime.co or use that promo code SGPN. Get you $20 off. Download the Game Time app. I've been hitting up a couple Dodgers game this season. It's great. I don't have to plan. I can just go last minute. We're out here in Las Vegas. I got a nice deal seeing Dead and Company at the Sphere thanks to Game Time. Using that $20 off because of the promo code SGPN over at gametime.co, and you get the Game Time guarantee. You are not going to find a better price ticket, same section, same row. And if you do, you get 110% of your money back. You're not going to find it because Game Time has the lowest prices. And on top of that, they got flash deals, zone deals, very easy to use. You can even hit the all-in pricing so you know exactly what you're going to pay with the tickets. Just go to gametime.co or download the Game Time app and use that promo code SGPN. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm. Shout out to Rhythm, giving out nice winners there for the Open. They've been doing really well with golf, WNBA on a break, but had some nice winners there. Their college football projections. The model is about to launch, so you're going to want to get in on that. Again, you're really going to have some fun. And admittedly, I like to make fun of modeling, but playing around with Rhythm, I'm like, you know what? I get it. They converted me to a model. And it's fun because it's my model. I get to decide, hey, these are the stats that matter to me. These are the stats that don't. It is really fun predicting and dialing in the or you could just say, screw it. What is Rhythm like? Give me what they like. And they'll spit out some nice picks and props for you. Great for props as well. They also do sides, totals. They do it all. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm to claim your 7-day free trial. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Just workshop a great idea real quick. The DGen beauty pageant.
Oh, okay.
One of the events is you have to show off your model.
All right. I like that.
We'll work on the rest of them. Maybe there's a talent show portion of it.
Bikini contest would be
you show everyone your biggest bets. We're getting there.
Show us your slips, baby.
We'll see how
let's see your slip.
Likes it.
All right, I got 2 left. How many do you have, Ryan? 2 left?
One more. And okay. I saved the best for last. I assume it's the most obvious one, but fire when ready.
All right. I'll ask you this. Is your last one a rookie?
No.
Wow. Okay. All right. So then I'll go with this one. It's going to hurt Ryan, but Daniel Jones, in spite of the market being down on him a little bit, I'm still putting him in the fade bucket. 22, 36, and 1 straight up. Humiliating. Hard Knocks episode for Daniel Jones. I mean, it'd be one thing if he had a solid team around him. I still think there's a ton of questions on the offensive line. And Daniel Jones coming off that ACL, I think it's just going to be in trouble. And you lost a guy that really helped you be successful in Saquon Barkley. So I'm out on Daniel Jones. I think he has some confidence issues. And I think the fact that the team is putting out a documentary where they're explaining how they want to draft his replacement, and they're like, well, whatever, I guess we'll just stick with Daniel Jones. That to me is not a building block for success. I think Daniel Jones and New York Giants bottom out, fading Daniel Jones this season. Kramer?
I made a conscious effort to not include Jalen Hurts to bring up his below 500 ATS rec. I didn't do that. And then I also I didn't go off and just started spouting off Cliff Note clips that I clearly didn't watch the entire show. Daniel Jones is grinding away, recovering from an ACL injury. Very impressive.
Did they not consider trading up for a quarterback? Yes or no?
They did.
Okay. Case closed.
I mean, that if anything, the chip's on his shoulder. Now it's go time. And you forgot to mention one little thing. Malik Neighbors.
I thought you were going to say the neck injury. Yeah, I mean, nope. Health Malik is an Neighbors, issue. Baby. Offensive line is an issue. I just don't see it with Daniel Jones. I mean, Darren Waller, shout out to Darren Waller. He thinks Daniel Jones can get back to his 2022 form, which I don't know why we're interviewing rappers about quarterbacks these days, but shout out to Darren Waller.
I'd like to hear what Eminem has to think about Jared Goff while we're on it.
He's a fan. He was at the games. He's in on him. I would rather hear Eminem's takes than Darren Waller's, honestly. Eminem wasn't on the team and then kind of just decided to quit. Very unclear why Darren Waller and Eminem didn't force you to grow a mustache, right?
What do you mean? Darren Waller didn't. If anything, Darren Waller opened my mind to the life of a mustache. All right, so I did want to point out that I didn't put him on my list because I like his face was always going to be on the graphic anyway, and I kind of think you didn't put him on the list either. But we agree that Dak Prescott goes at the top of the graphic, right?
Come on. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So and I will say my reasoning behind not putting any rookies in there is I didn't want to carry over college bias into the NFL, and so I stuck to only folks who had a sample size.
Okay,
but basically, this. Go ahead.
Yeah, go. I my last one is a rookie, but keep going.
Well, you could consider mine a rookie, and I am absolutely blown away that he is not on your list. Mr. Bryce Young, come on down. Has not been a favorite once in his career. Horrible ATS record as a dog. I don't see any reason why my opinion is going to change. I'm not a Dave Canales guy. I don't think this staff or these players are going to overcome the shit sandwich that David Tepper has created as a football franchise over there. And I mean, if I'm being honest, if I was ranking them, I think I might have to put Bryce Young number 1 until I can see him. Not cover a lucky spread or backdoor or lay points for once in his career. He has to be the guy. If you've never been a favorite, I understand it speaks to your team, but quarterbacks are the most meaningful thing to the point spread on that team. Fade Bryce Young at all costs. And I wonder, are we maybe let's add him to the most interception pile, because I mean, I guess he could get pulled. That would be the more concerning thing there, but I can't imagine they ruined their franchise to get Bryce Young. They're going to give him one more year, right?
Yeah. And you know what? I'm putting Bryce Young back in the list, Ryan. I mean, he was originally on there and I'm like, Kramer's probably going to hit on him, but I want my list to reflect the guys I really am fading. And yeah, they were very bad straight up, very bad ATS. And to me, it wasn't just that he was bad. It was, there were no flashes. There at no point where you're like, oh, Bryce is cooking. He's looking pretty good here. Now, even garbage time, like a good portion of his time was when teams are sitting back, giving them easy stuff underneath. Okay, you brought in Deontay Johnson. Okay, you drafted a running back coming off an ACL injury. Like, I don't know what to get excited. I mean, if Dave Canales can fix Bryce Young, then hats off to him. Like he deserves all the money, and maybe he'll celebrate by treating himself to a little alone time. But I don't see any reason why I'm going to be backing Bryce Young. And to your point, even as a dog, like he wasn't even good at backdooring. So very, very confused as to why. And I think there are some people in the market that are kind of talking themselves into, like, much like Trevor Lawrence. Now, this is a more extreme version, but oh, hey, he was the number 1 pick overall. But even that Trevor Lawrence, that Urban Meyer season was such a disaster, but you still saw some throws from Trevor Lawrence that gave you a little bit of hope. There was at no point watching Bryce Young last year that I think this guy looks like an NFL quarterback, let alone has potential to be an above average or more NFL quarterback.
Players who have been on relatively bad teams, who are still sub 40% ATS as a dog. Listen to this who's who. Justin Fields, unfortunately. Bryce Young. I mean, there's one. Oh, Mac Jones. So it's like it's a list that it feels like a pretty strong indicator that you suck. If anything, I think your against the spread dog record is almost more meaningful than as a favorite in some regard, in terms of just especially if you've been on a bad team. Matt Stafford actually pops too, which is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, all right, hey, you're a 3-4 point favorite. You're getting some wins. You're not getting the covers. You're losing some close games, but that was not the case with Bryce Young. Real quick shout out to the chat. Stephen Cunningham pointing out big thanks to Sean for nailing the hot dog contest winner. I'll give Noah B an assist there. Brought up some good angles on that. Joe Dilly wanting to check out whether Jay Cutler is on this list. I mean, if they put Jay Cutler back in the league, certainly he would be on my fade list. Lube Gaming, what's up, fellows? Joe TFP wants to know Fade Burrow and the Bungles at hand injury has a good chance of being permanent. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Burrow is such a dog. My instincts are to still ride him, but yeah, we'll see. And luckily, Ryan, we're doing that team preview a little later on, so maybe we do get a little bit more clarity. I don't know. They're gonna if there is anything bothering him, we're not gonna really find out, I think, until week 1, because you know how these teams are. They're not gonna let him play in the preseason, and then coming back to Deshaun Watson, who again didn't make my list, but I'm sure we're gonna be talking about in the Browns team preview. Like, he's not able to learn the offense because he's on like a pitch count because he's still recovering from that injury. Like, and that's a serious shoulder injury. The Deshaun Watson questions just keep mounting. It's pretty crazy. And maybe I will end up fading him a bunch, but I guess the defense and the coaching kept that team somewhat salvageable, which would help his ATS record. But was there anyone else you were considering putting on, Ryan, that didn't quite make it?
No, I mean, I'll elaborate more on tomorrow's episode, but Burrow is the only guy in the league that sniffs a 60% ATS record as a favorite and a dog. So I don't know if you can look at an injury and maybe think about fading him. So your question, other people I considered throwing on this list, before, like, the rookie, there's definitely, the idea of fading rookies in general. I certainly, like, Zach Wilson came to mind. He's not going to be starting.
Well, I mean, Caleb Williams, he's a 4.5 point favorite at home, making his first start. Like, Caleb Williams. So you think about, obviously in gambling, it's about exceeding expectations, and the expectations for Caleb Williams and this Bears team are so freaking high. I mean, look at their win total, look at their division price. Like, it seems like to exceed expectations for Caleb Williams, it's gonna be really hard. He can have a pretty good rookie season and still not meet expectations. So that's why my first instinct may be just to fade him. But like, you could come out and have an amazing season. Maybe he does have another CJ Stroud like season, but CJ Stroud, the expectations were very low. He came in, it was a different thing. Like, I mean, Bears fans expect themselves to make the playoffs this year. It might take a little bit. And that's not even being down on Caleb Williams as a prospect. I do think he's a very talented kid, but the expectations are so high. And it does feel like he's being priced at you couldn't price a rookie higher, right? I guess is my overall point.
Yeah, I guess he kind of fits into a unique scenario because you rarely see a rookie come onto a team with this type of talent and then also have this type of hype. Maybe we should add him to the list.
Well, again, I was hemming and hawing, and I ended up pulling in Bryce Young. There is a good defense. I do like their defense in Chicago. They do, so maybe that kind of keeps them in some games, and we'll see if the market adjusts. But yeah, that's good. It's the bar is set pretty high early and often for Caleb Williams. So
don't worry, I fixed it. So our list will include. We're gonna have Dak. So we're gonna rank them. Because people like rank. So Dak is 1.
Okay, thanks. Add Dak in, definitely.
Yeah, Dak will be 1 as like a group ranking, and then I'm gonna put Caleb Williams 2 on this thing just to put him at the top. People will get upset about that. But then I thought it'd be good if we actually rank the guys we listed. So for me, it was again Bryce Young, Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, Jordan Love, Derek Carr. That would be the order I would rearrange them and rank them. So after Dak Prescott and Caleb Williams, Bryce Young, then Deshaun Watson, then Trevor Lawrence, then Jordan Love, then Derek Carr would be how I'd rank them. What about you?
So the first
like
one
the
I'm
highest
saying
would be the most fade, like your
most fade,
top fade. Yeah, top fade.
Okay.
Like Dak is number 1 because he's the top fade.
Yeah. So I'll go Trevor, Sam Darnold.
Okay.
Daniel Jones.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? Sorry. No, Trevor, Sam Darnold, Bryce Young, Daniel Jones, Geno Smith is my order.
Okay. Oh, this is going to be such a fire.
This is Ryan. Creating lists is how you dominate the internet.
Yeah. Also, how you piss people off, just like you pissing off Canada this morning.
Yeah, if you missed the VSiN show, one of my locks was Canada under 6.5 gold medals. A lot of the great folks in Canada reached out and told me in a very polite way. That's the great thing about if you're going to decide to upset one nation, Ryan, let it be Canada, because they were very polite in their disagreements with my handicapping of their Summer Olympics. Mostly it was that Canada is cold and summer is a warm weather thing. Got a lot of outreach from the Canadians. So shout out to you, Canada. Wish you the best of luck, but no 7 gold medals for you. Under 6.5, little bonus free play for the listeners on the Sports Gambling Podcast. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Tomorrow we're going to do the top 5 quarterbacks to bet on, which will be a fun list, fun debate as always. Reminder, team previews, 32 NFL team previews start this Sunday, 8:30 Pacific on YouTube. And of course, tune in to our VSiN show Monday through Friday, filling in for the Follow the Money guys, 7 a.m. Pacific. Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, Second Money Green. He's Brian.
Sorry, Jordan Love.
Kramer, let it ride.